Hey, welcome back. In this video, I'd like to share with you 5 of the biggest pricing mistakes that video creators make so you can overcome them, gain more confidence, and start charging the rates you deserve. These are the mistakes that will limit your earning potential and keep you in a price war with stiff competition at the bottom of the market. To avoid them, you first need to be aware of what they are, so you can then equip yourself with the tools and knowledge to overcome them. I've experienced firsthand the effects of better pricing, as it's enabled me to work on ever larger and more exciting projects, deliver a higher quality of work, and create happier customers. So let's get right into it. What are the 5 biggest pricing mistakes that I see videographers, filmmakers, and video business owners making? Mistake number 1 is treating, and therefore pricing, all clients equally. No one wants to be treated like anything less than unique, yet most video business owners offer the exact same daily or hourly rate to every client that comes through their doors. While this generic pricing may work for weddings where the output, results, and risk are very similar from one client to the next, it's not what works best for businesses. Does it make sense to offer the same fixed rate to a small mom and pop business as it does for a multi-million-dollar international company? Of course not, but that's exactly what most people do. When you set your prices for those mom and pop businesses, you actually block yourself from opportunities to work with larger businesses. Even if your work is worth 10 times more, in the minds of those prospects, you get put in the box of small video business for small projects, and your growth is stunted. Start pricing the client, not the service, and your results will go up exponentially. I'll get into this more in just a moment. The second common mistake that video business owners make is using packages. We've just looked at why it's detrimental to treat every client the same, so it should be clear that creating one-size-fits-all packages aren't the way to go. For a small percentage of your clients, your package might be just right, but for the most part, it will be like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Packages feel like an easy way to simplify your offering, but the reality is you'll be vulnerable to competition, because anyone else who takes their time to really understand the customer and create a more bespoke offer will always win. If you commoditize your service, you might get some scraps at the bottom of the pile, but you'll never be able to do work with the high-value clients who require more. As well as creating packages, another part of this mistake is putting prices on your website. Aside from causing all the problems we just talked about, it immediately opens you up to price shopping. Rather than the prospect needing to take time to talk to you, and you gaining a deeper understanding of their problems, in most cases they'll just note down your price and then go look elsewhere for cheaper. The third mistake is assuming that the client knows exactly what they need. That is to say, when a client comes to you and says they need X, don't take it at face value. I've been in so many situations where a client has thought that they needed one thing at one price, but in actual fact needed something completely different. Most recently, a client was referred to me by another production company, and they told me that they needed 4 explainer videos and had a maximum of £2,000 to spend. Rather than just accepting this statement and referring them to another company who could do work at this price, I trusted in my pricing process and sat down with the client to discuss their needs. After going through the steps and in less than an hour of talking, I found out that the client didn't actually need 5 videos. They wanted to promote their product, and a simple 60-second commercial would in fact be far more effective. Not only this, by using the results-based pricing method, I was able to help the client realize that this wasn't in fact a £2,000 problem. Rather, it was much more important than they had first thought, and it warranted spending £15,000 instead. So again, don't ever assume that the client knows exactly what they need. With this in mind, perhaps you can also see now that it would be a big mistake to ask the client what their budget is first. Just as you shouldn't assume that the client knows what solution they need, you shouldn't assume that they know how much to spend either. This may sound a little counterintuitive. After all, we're often told that the customer is always right, and it's bold to assume that we know their finances better than them. However, it's not about telling the client what they should spend. Rather, it's about guiding them through the process so you can help them determine the size of the problem and how much should be spent to create a proportional solution. The idea of not asking the client for their budget is also integral to price anchoring. If the client comes in with a lowball offer, it's far harder to move them up on price than if you come in with a high number and move down. This is getting beyond the scope of this video, but if it's something you'd like to learn more about, I'll leave a link to my free 1-hour training in the description below. The fourth mistake is not believing in the value that you bring to each client. While the previous 3 mistakes have been more practical, pricing is a lot about confidence and having a strong mindset. When you boil it right down, sometimes the difference between getting a poor result and an amazing one is the willingness to say a number like 20,000 instead of 2,000. When you ask for higher prices, you get paid higher prices. This is something I can reflect back on over 11 years in the business, and I can remember the nerves and anxiety I used to feel in a meeting when saying a number like 2,000. Nowadays, I don't bat an eyelid at this, and instead I feel those nerves arrive when saying a number like 40,000. So obviously a large part of this comes with experience, but fundamentally the thing that has changed in my mind is the belief that I can bring huge amounts of value to every client I choose to work with. So if you're just starting out, or even if you've been doing this for a while, know that video is one of the most powerful tools available to businesses for inciting real change and creating massive results. And your skills are hugely valuable when it comes to planning and implementing video. It's easy to forget this when you're so familiar with what you already know and when you're comparing yourself to your peers, but there are business owners out there who don't know what you know and they need your help. The fifth mistake is not putting pricing systems and processes in place. As Peter Drucker says, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So if you're just winging it and hoping you'll do better with each new meeting, you'll be met with slow progress. You're growing a business and you need to treat it as such, and systems are the lifeblood of a good business. The same applies for pricing systems. When you have a specific way to give the client a price, such as strategies and steps to follow, then you gain more confidence in the meeting. You feel more prepared when you have a process that you can trust in, and it becomes easier to say a price like 20,000 because you believe in the number and how you came to it. The client will also notice this, which will help build trust in you as a professional, and you'll be able to create a solution that's proportional to their problems and meet all of their needs. This is something I go into greater detail in my free 1-hour business training that I'll link in the description below. So there you have my 5 biggest video pricing mistakes. Before you go and move on to another video, take a moment to reflect on this with a short exercise. Write down what would be the impact on your business if you were able to charge 10 times more than usual in your next meeting. Write down what would change for you, your business, the quality of your work, and what would be different for your client in terms of their satisfaction and the result. Is there anything that's holding you back from doing this in your next meeting? Perhaps something I've talked about in this video? Well, let me know in the comments below. Again, if you want to learn how to price your services, as well as how to land clients and build a stronger, healthier business, I'll leave a link to my free 1-hour training in the description below. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.